This is the Toddcast. I am the John Engel. With me is the Tim Cope. And hopefully at some point tonight we get the Bo Pritz. So welcome to episode
Hello.
126. Or 125, 126, whatever. I don't know. I think I may have screwed that up in the title of one of them. Anyway. So this week's been a little nuts. Lots of cool stuff has happened. We have an amazing Philobox event coming up this weekend. Where come on, Tim.
I got it.
Turn the Penguins down.
I was trying to get set up while you were doing.
I'm a Pens fan too, and come on, dude.
Okay, we're good. We're good. I'm sorry.
All right, you ready?
No, we're
good?
not sorry.
Okay, you're not sorry. Don't be sorry. You don't need to be sorry.
I am sorry. Now I'm
You're
double sorry because it was on the TV. Sorry.
Okay.
Anyways.
Okay. Sorry, not sorry.
Start over. Hi, John.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast.
This is our fun little show. It's so fun and little. Anyway, so yeah, this coming Saturday and Sunday, dollar books, fill a long box. Do it. It's like shopping in the basement. You put them all in the same order. $250 plus tax for a full long box. We provide the used long box for you. It's kind of fun. Every store is doing it, and since Cranberry has a small selection and the weather looks like it's going to help out, I'm bringing a van load of comics. Well, half a van load of comics, and I'm going to set them out in front of the store both days, 12 to 6 up there. Most of the stores are 12 to 6 or open sometime between the hours of 11 and 7. So check your local NDC for their actual hours before you come and shop. It's going to be a good time either way. Then April 4th, the day before Easter, so Easter Eve, if you will, or Bunny Eve, you can come to the Mills and take part in their anniversary sale. The information for that will be on the NDC website sometime this weekend, but it's also on the Mills Facebook page right now. Other than that, if you missed the announcement, Three Rivers Comic-Con Light, May 22nd and 23rd at the waterfront in the parking lot under
I'm
some
so
giant
excited
tents.
for that. I'm excited.
I am too, because I got some cool emails from some people today, and it's not like we're not going out of our way to bring in big names for this. However, some people are trying to work with me to come in. Not super huge, but pretty cool. And I've never worked with these people before. Todd has, so that's kind of cool. But they reached out and we're good to go. More on that next week.
It's exciting because it's like this feels like the right time for things to start heading towards normal.
Yeah.
Like everybody tried like 7-8 months ago. They're like, no, now. But I'm like, no, this feels like it's right. So I'm excited to just get a little bit in,
Yeah, and I think it's a good stepping stone event. Yeah. It's outside, masks are required. Things are under tents. If PA regulations change by then, we will adapt. But for right now, that's what you got to do. Some people are bringing their own tents. Some are not. Soon I'll have information on how to do the 2-hour early birds from 10 to 12, both Saturday and Sunday. But the show for just coming to hang out is noon to 7 both days, and it's free admission from noon to 7. If you want to come in at 10, it's $5. But it's a good mix of vendors and artists. It's going to be cool. That's kind of it. So I guess I can start with some hold on, I gotta get this out of the way.
Dog wasn't cooperating.
What? Come on, dog.
I don't know why people have to walk down my street. He hates it.
Right? Why are you walking down the street, dog?
Exercise. I'm going to get my steps in.
What?
Whatever.
No one exercises. Come on. Hold on. I gotta open some stuff up. Wow, did I not open my books? That's where it is. I was like,
there was some pretty good books this week.
Yeah. I just did not open my my actual books. Oh crap! Am I sharing my main screen? Jeez, sorry guys. Yes, I am. I think. Wow, today has just been all over the place. I am so sorry. All right. My first book, which I'm going to.
I was excited you had all Marvel books this week.
I know, right? It's weird.
And
it's weird.
I had all other stuff, DC and indie.
Right? Yeah, it's this is like Bizarro world. But my first book is Iron Fist, number 3, Heart of the Dragon. Heart of the Dragon. I'm sorry for being unprepared tonight, guys. Not that anybody's watching us right now because the Penguin game also started. Hate having to go up against hockey. But it's cool. People watch anyway, so it's all right. Yes, Carl, the Comic-Con is going to be intense outside. It'll be fun. Trust me. All right. First book, Iron Fist, Heart of the Dragon. This book keeps just being really killer. There's some fun moments where basically like you have Iron Fist and Luke Cage and Bride of Spiders all going to different temples where dragons appear and trying to get people to not kill the dragons. The dragons are there because they're the dragons from heaven, and like all these palaces are coming through because there's a crazy guy trying to kill all the dragons and get all the hearts. So you have Radiant, where Iron Fist is, and she's kind of like, it's really funny because at one point she's like, all right, explain to me why I can't kill a dragon. He's like, it's complicated. She's like, I've got all day. And so he really starts to actually do it. And she just goes, something bad's to happen if the dragons, if they're destroyed. And he goes, exactly. So it was really funny. Then Luke Cage and Sunspot are dealing with another one down in Rio. And he's like, don't kill the dragon, but I'll help you kill all these dudes. He makes a fun joke about turning them to briquettes. And then you have Okoye in Wakanda, totally kicking ass with Bride of Spiders, and watching. There's like a panel where Bride of Spiders lets her her spiders out to kill all of the zombie guys, and just watching their like bodies dissipate. It's just amazing. It's such a good panel. I'm not as prepared as Tim. I don't take extra panel shots.
And Wakanda is actually a spot in Wakanda. It's a housing complex. There's a bunch of condos there. Right? It's Wakanda.
It's where all the rich Wakandans live.
So it's still in Wakanda. You were fine.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah.
It's Jay-Z's summer home. Yeah.
In Wakanda.
In Wakanda. I'm gonna be in my Wakando in Wakanda. So then you have another Fu kind of pulls them all back, and they realize there's a big black dragon that is sitting on a giant throne of blood, and that is the one at the Citadel of the Hidden City. So very cool book. Definitely recommend it. It's been good this whole time. Make sure you check it out.
Nice.
All right.
It's been a fun series.
It has been. All right.
I like the little minis they're doing, by the way. Like,
me too.
The Hawkeye one, this one. It's like I can get invested and have fun, and I'll buy all 5 issues. But then I don't feel like, oh, I'm still buying issue after issue that maybe I'm not reading, but I'm just buying it because maybe I like the character.
Right.
So you jump in, you read a good story, and then you jump out. So
right. So Carl, yes, intense. I get it. That's pretty funny. All right. You ready, Tim?
Carl's good at, yeah.
All right. Your first book is El Justice League.
El Justice League. I was excited to read this one because I saw Naomi on the cover, and I saw Black Adam on the cover, who seems like he's just going by Adam now, which is, I guess, okay. This was a good book, but the main Justice League story was really short. They had a Justice League Dark story in the back half that was about the same length that I didn't really dig. So I just kind of, my whole thing that I'm talking about here is just the Justice League part of this book. And it opens up. There's this character, this new character that comes down.
I don't know why that didn't work. Hold on a second. That was not what I meant to do. Hold on. Sorry guys. Today is just really not. Wow. Don't make fun of me. All right.
Yeah. Okay, so this is where it picks up. This is where it starts. Aquaman's kind of talking. Pans over. Black Adam shows up. He's flying and he's talking to this young boy. And then this character on the left shows up. Go back to that panel real quick. So this character on the left shows up, and he's kind of the baddie. And the Justice League are fighting him, and it leads to the Justice League. He's like, "Oh, I'm not." What's that?
Leads to that one.
It doesn't. I don't have a picture up on mine.
Oh, hold on. For some reason, there we go. Try that now.
Yes.
That one? Okay.
Yeah, so this is where the Justice League starts fighting. This guy on the left, pretty cool looking bad guy. I love the way that David Marquez drew Superman, because he's big, he's strong, but like he also kind of just looks like a guy.
There were moments in this book where I thought it was Superboy. Just so you know, from the way he drew.
Oh yeah, because of how young he draws. Face is very young.
Yeah.
But so next panel, or next page, Aquaman, cool shark attack. He's like, I usually don't do the shark wall attack on anybody. I like that he had like a name for the attack. And this guy that they're fighting, he talks the way Bendis likes to write. He writes those characters that are very grounded in like how people talk today.
Right.
And this guy's like, yeah, I don't think I'm strong enough. I'm out of here, but don't worry, I'll be back. So he splits. And then the Justice League, they're trying to chase him. I took this screenshot because I thought it was awesome that they used this Batwing.
Oh yeah, that's the animated series one.
Yeah, it's the animated series one. So I'm like, that's freaking awesome. So the bad guy escapes. The Justice League, they go back to the Hall of Justice, which it comes up and it's like, meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice, which was awesome. And Superman's kind of talking about that they need to do something different. And Green Arrow is starting to back him up on that. There's a panel where Green Arrow even says, hey, just so you know, Superman agreed with me. So whatever the heck you guys think, I don't really care. Because if Superman agrees with me, I don't really care what you think. And that's the next panel, I think, is. Yeah. So, they're kind of split on how they want to do this. That some of them think that they need to bring in some fresh blood to kind of like change it up. And other ones think that like the fact that they've been together so long plays well to their strengths when they're facing something. What was the next?
You have one more panel.
Oh yeah. So then it's like, who could we possibly get? And it goes to this panel where Naomi is showing off her powers to a bunch of her friends, and then Black Adam shows up and he's like, hey, what's up? We need to talk for a second.
Nice.
And I was really excited that her character was in it, because her little mini story that Bendis wrote a year or so ago, I thought was fantastic. So I'm interested to see more of her character and how that character grows. But it was a really good first issue. I just wish it was take that Justice League Dark story out, or make it smaller and give me a little bit more of that main story. I think that was the only thing that kind of bummed me out, was just I wanted more. So, but It's a good book. I would check it out, especially now. This is a great time to jump on because they're doing that Infinite Frontier stuff. So check out some of these books now. It's a great time to jump on. So
awesome. All right, moving along. My next book is Iron Man 7.
I love this cover.
Dude, this cover is hilarious. The funnier part is if you actually are reading the book, Tony can't take his helmet off because his neck's broken. So like this is just even weirder because it's kind of like, yo man, can you itch my armpit? So I have a love-hate relationship with this book because certain points of this book, and it's every couple issues, feel like there's some kind of agenda in it. And this one, at times I'm like, are they trying to fight against Korvac because he feels like a fascist, or are they trying to fight him because he feels like a communist, or just because he's batshit crazy? I don't really know. It's one of them. So at times I was kind of like, ugh. But overall, I thought it was good. Basically, it starts out with Rhodey and Iron Man talking about how they're beefing up their armor to be able to punch through Korvac's armor, which will effectively explode Tony's heart if he punches him. Because it's going to punch him at like 500 miles per hour. So, which is nuts. And then there's this awesome, it's awesome, but it's also the part that was weird, but it's cool because it's an existential discussion between Scarlet Spider, Frogman, Misty Knight, and Gargoyle. And it's just really interesting because Misty's just kind of like, is it a god, like the god, like what are we talking about? And then eventually, like the Scarlet Spider says something like, if you like, it's all cells, molecules, and atoms. You are the sum of the total molecular reflexes holded by your body together that ends up thinking it's something, which is to say someone. And she just goes, so the idea of me is like a side effect of being alive. And he's like, exactly, hard science. And I was just like, this is like some Henry Young shit. Like the whole idea of the chair is not real, but the idea of the chair is real because it will exist forever. Like, but that chair will eventually disintegrate. So it gets like real crazy all over. Then there's like a funny moment with Hellcat and Tony where she kisses him through the helmet because his neck's broken, and she says it's like kissing a safety deposit box.
I forgot that's right at the beginning of that arc. They kind of started to have a thing together. It was like right off the bat in like the first issue.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to the Korvac's ship where it's him, Blizzard, and Unicorn, and they're flying around because they're going to try to kill those guys. And then, but Hellcat is psychically linked to Korvac's, so she pulls her and Tony into there to have a conversation, and he shows Tony his weird utopia, which is everything becomes crystal, like weird crystal, not really shaped things eating crystal things, and everything is just is. There's no good, no bad, no nothing. It's just is. So it was very, like I said, like, is that utopia for this or that? And then if he's the guy that gets to make all the decisions, which way does that lean? So but there's also a fine line between those two crazies. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the end, he turns Hellcat into one of those in that universe, but her body's still there. Meanwhile, Tony's disappears completely right before they get into a space firefight. He shows up on a planet, and a bunch of Canadian crazy monster looking guys show up, but the planet is of no recognition. His armor cannot pick it up. Next issue, Moonstone. Or I'm sorry, Moon
really
Dragon.
Interesting.
Moon Dragon. I love the art in this book, though. It's so good.
Yeah, the art's really fun. I enjoy it. That was a really weird group of characters together.
Right? That's what I'm saying. So,
yeah.
All right. Let me get yours ready here. Sorry.
Yeah, mine was Ultra Mega by Image.
I will.
Which is, I'll set it up while you're talking. If you like kaiju, Godzilla, Ultraman, the old Ultraman stuff.
Yep.
If you like that, he even has similar look in his head.
So there's a new Ultraman book that came out this week, Trial of Ultraman.
Yeah, Trials of Ultraman.
Mhm.
So if you like that kind of stuff, you'll like this book. It just kind of starts and gets right into it. Starts with this weird character with a giant head who's like telling this normal guy, hey, there's a war that's going on and it's a secret kaiju war, and this is the guy. It's like the Watcher, if the Watcher and
Was on acid.
Nightcrawler and acid. Yeah, it's just
very
really
Kirby
weird
looking though, which I like about it.
So he's like, hey, there's a secret kaiju war going on right now. He's like, there's a curse. People are getting it, and it's turning them into monsters. I can give you the ability to fight back. Here's this power. Whenever you're around someone who has this curse and is infected with it, you will turn into this giant kaiju to fight them. So the next panel, I believe, is the picture of the regular old guy, the normal everyday guy. So
you got a picture of me on here.
Any one of us can be a superhero, apparently. His name was Jason. He kind of gets hit with some hard times. He loses his job, then he loses it to a robot, and then he gets this power, and now his life kind of has some meaning. The next panel shows him wandering on the. Oh no, I'm sorry. These are two other people that have been recruited along with him. The kid on the left, kind of like technological genius. The guy on the right, strange, out there, and as soon as he gets the power to help fight these monsters, he kind of disappears and goes off the radar. And then it fast forwards. Well, the next panel should show. I just like this because in the bottom left, this guy, a rodent took my job. It took our job. That's all I can think about.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So, but it fast forwards about 10 years. He has a new family, and then he gets involved into a fight with this giant kaiju that looks like a Tremor. That's all I could think of.
It looks like a Tremor if it were the top of a piece of Pez.
Yeah. Okay. It has this fat, like round body, but then these things shoot out of it. So it's very fun as far as like there's a lot of action. The artwork is great. It kind of reminded me of like Daniel Warren Johnson stuff, like the way there's so much stuff that's always in motion.
Right.
It's a simple book as far as like where they're going with it. At least right now, there's monsters. You have the power to fight them. But then the twist kind of that comes towards the end is that you find out that his previous wife had a child, and they're both cursed. It hasn't been like cleared up. They're either cursed or infected, or his powers did something to them. This was a cool scene where when he's fighting that monster, it goes to bite his arm off, and he does Ultra Zeta Beam, and he says the attack out loud, which I thought was awesome.
That's very, very anime, but I like it.
Yeah. So it blows the monster up. So I mean, overall, it was a really fun book. I was hoping it was going to be a little bit more, I guess, complex, but as far as like just being a good book with action and great artwork that hopefully in the next issue will start to reveal a little bit more. There's the Tremor Monster. One of the great moments in this was after he shrinks down back to normal when he defeats the monster. He's talking on the phone to his wife, and she's like, hey, your head's still big, and he's like, yeah, it'll shrink down. He's like, I'll probably just have a sore neck in the morning. And all I could think about was this was good. This is the Beautiful one? Joe. Oh, that's all I could think about. I saw his giant head, and I'm like, Beautiful Joe. That was a fun game. So, like I said, it's nothing like crazy, but as far as like depth or anything, but it had some good action and some good fun. I'm hoping that the next issue, or at least coming up in some issues, maybe we get a little bit more explanation of that weird guy that was floating on the orb, because that's all you see of him, and that's right off the bat. And then
Right.
it's just monster fights the rest of the way. So they got me with that. We'll see how the next issue goes. So
Cool. I mean, I thought it was cool. I think I have that in my pile. I'll read it and also check it out. So
yeah.
all right, my last book for the week is The Black Knight: Curse of the Ebony Blade.
Ooh.
I love the Black Knight because he's such a terrible character. Like, and it's like in the first couple pages of the book, he shows up, and they're just kind of like Thor's even like, fuck this guy, like, and like he says it, he's like, fuck this guy, and then like Captain Marvel's like, the horse that does not look happy, and Black Panther's like, he clones them badly, and then Cap's just like, hey Dane, thanks for coming. So the whole time he's kind of talking to this computer like thing to help him deal with like just like depression or something, whatever. He's just trying to get some talk through on that, and like they need him to help fight this thing, and there's a scene where like Thor tries to pull the thing up, but backtrack a second to where my actual first thought went. So the way they reacted to people talk, like when Dane showed up, is how I feel when I talk about Black Knight to people. And they're just like, damn it. Shit. Okay. But I personally just love him. So there's just some really good. It actually shows how powerful he actually is. At one point, Cap calls him a WND, which was kind of insane. But it worked out really well. The art in this book's really, really good. And then there's like these weird, crazy like druid guys, and they do something to the Black Knight. Black Knight gets brought back to his castle. By the way, his butler has a goat head, and he was supposed to have a meeting with a not really archaeologist, but like a historian who is very fluent in King Arthur and Arthurian legend, and wanted to kind of compare notes, I guess. And she's just like, yeah, I think it's a bunch of crap. I don't think it actually exists. I don't think Camelot actually existed. And she goes into the room when he gets back. Some crazy stuff happens, and then all of a sudden he's just like, I have some notes. Like she touches the Ebon Blade, sees all this crazy Camelot stuff, and then he's like, I have questions. So it worked out really well. It was very it was very well written for a Black Knight series during this time.
What's the timeline of it? Like,
I think it's
is it
just
before?
I think it's post King in Black.
Okay.
Because they say that during, it's not during the main stuff they're talking about, but during one of the pieces in between, they talk about how he, when fighting Null, realizes that he's actually able to control the blade because he is actually not pure of heart. So, which was in Black Knight #1 King in Black, which I also reviewed, which was also great. But I just can't wait to see how they play him in Eternals. Like, I hope he's just as weird, and I hope he talks to himself all the time and all kinds of stuff. But
this is a character
I really
people should pay attention to, because I think weren't there rumors that he was going to be in the Eternals movie?
It's confirmed.
It's confirmed. Yeah.
So he's one of the guys from Game of Thrones is playing him.
So if you're like me and you don't know much about this character, this is probably a great place to start and get in and read it.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man, he was an Avenger. Get on that.
There were lots of Avengers.
I know. All right, you ready for your next one? Your
Yeah,
last book? Okay,
my
go
last
for it.
book. This was Superman Red and Blue, and they got me with the Gary Frank cover, and it was not very good. It's three separate Superman stories. This is a thing now that people, they started this way back with Batman Black and White, and then Marvel's kind of started to do it. They have Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood. Now there's a Carnage, Red, White, and Blood, or Red, White, and Black coming out. So I'm not sure what the appeal is to having a book with just two colors, but it was very boring. The first story was Superman gets depowered in some like Ukraine air kind of territory, and he's a slave for like 8 months. And he's able to escape and eventually comes back to years later to interview the man who captured him. But the man who captured him doesn't know that this is Superman. This guy's aged, and Superman is still, looks pretty good. But and Clark's kind of like, I think I'm going to kill this guy in his head, and then he doesn't. It was just a very boring. The only thing that was really good about the entire book was the last story, which even the story wasn't good, but it was Wes Craig did the art, and
He wrote it too.
Oh, did he write it?
Yeah,
well, he didn't write a very good story, but he did. But he didn't write a very good story, but he did a very good job with the art, and it helped fill in some of my missing Deadly Class. Just getting to see a couple pages of his artwork. So it was all of these stories tie into other stories that have actually happened. So if you've read old DC stories and you think that these would interest you, then I would definitely check them out. They put little notes in the corner as to, where this is following in the timeline. So I think they're supposed to do a second issue. So hopefully the next one's a little bit better. But I don't know. This one just it didn't. I thought it was going to be the better of the DC books, and it ended up not being it. So
sad panda.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe their efforts weren't in it as much. Like there seemed to be this Infinite Frontier seems to be really honed in. There's not a ton of titles, but they've got good art and good stories on all the books that I've read so far.
Right.
But this doesn't have that branding. I think this is just meant to be like some side stuff.
Fair enough. Ron said Batman Black and White is not that great either. The current one maybe, but like back when like Sean Murphy did it, I liked his run on it.
He might be. I think he might be talking about the new one.
Yeah, I don't remember who's doing the new one.
Yeah,
but yeah. All right. So we got about 25 to 30 minutes. We're going to attempt to do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to briefly talk about the first two movies in the Snyderverse, and then we're going to talk about Justice League. Now, preface, there will be spoilers. Preface, Bo may pop in somewhere in the middle here and join us. As I know he really his words were it was the best comic book movie to come out, period. I don't agree with him on that end, but I did enjoy it. So, but to each their own. Like some of the stuff I liked, he didn't, vice versa. So it worked out, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how this talk goes. So, and Tim hasn't finished the movie, so I don't want to get too far into it. So if you don't care, continue listening. If you give a shit about any of that, just stop. Just stop now. Figure out what time you stopped listening, and then come back to it after you watch the movie. It is freaking long.
I will give my disclaimer too. If you don't give a shit, then you probably can still keep listening because it was pretty terrible.
I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. That's how I'm going
Yeah.
to preface that before we get into the spoilers. So
Okay.
first, let's talk
All
about
right.
Man of Steel a little bit.
All right.
So last Sunday, I sat through Man of Steel and the Ultimate Edition of Batman versus Superman. Man of Steel is still my favorite of the three. In general, I thought it had the most focused story. I thought it looked really good. I thought the characters were well done. I thought it kind of gave a new life to Superman. I thought visually it was great. You can see all my comments in the thing, and actually, if you start watching it and just see how many minutes in I am, you can actually follow along with my comments for both of those movies in there.
It didn't give new life to Zod. That's
No,
for sure.
it totally did
boy.
not. No, that was the second movie. Oh, my favorite awkward thing though about Man of Steel was, you know, the scene where Zod and his cronies get sent to the Phantom Zone.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I want you to look at this for a second.
Yeah, I see it.
And I just want you to look at that for a second and tell me who the fuck designed those. I'm just
Chip
saying.
Zdarsky.
I'm just that is a good possibility, my friend.
Yeah.
That'd have been funny. But you know, there was everybody always complains about, oh, he had to snap Zod's neck to kill him, blah blah blah. And part of me is just very much so like kryptonite didn't exist yet. They literally just terraformed it. They didn't know it was a thing. So that was pretty much how I felt about that. Like, so overall, I think I gave it like a 7 out of 10. Like
I give Man of Steel a 0 out of even 1. It can't even get 1 for me. That movie, I think that movie is awful. I think it's a slap in the face to, at the time, 75 years of history of the character. I think the casting was awful on it. And I don't usually go super negative, so I apologize. I thought the cast, Amy Adams looks like chapped lips in the form of a human being. That's what Amy Adams looks like in all these movies. I'm like, why is her nose always cold? Why is her nose always runny? Why does she always look like she has a cold? She just looks beat up and worn down. And I think she was terrible in these movies. I think the story and the plot, it was awful. I thought could have gone somewhere. I always, if they would have kept focusing more on Superman and Zod without this military interaction, I find it sad that all these people now want to make these movies with superpowered beings that they can't just get away from the military being involved. Like, that's what the real world is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
and
also
that's
you
how
gotta
that would
remember,
happen.
like, that was back in what, 2007, 2008, right?
Probably, yeah, around there, or maybe, yeah. So
that was a lot more of what was actually going on. So
but that's why I don't want that in a superhero movie, especially one that's supposed to be the one hero that gives you hope above all else.
So there were,
you know what I mean?
Right, but there were things in there that I definitely thought, like, okay, aliens show up, military's going to show up. That's how that would be, right? It's not like in Superman 1 and like the Reeves movie where, you know, the military really didn't do anything. Like, at all.
Yeah, but even having them around, all they're around to do is to just realize that they can't do anything. You know, like that this is a war between two gods. So it's just like, that's where it's going to go. So why not just go past that to them fighting?
Because that movie was about this whole. I think the original idea of this trilogy was about hope. It was about,
you don't see it.
You do though, because he is the only hope they have against Zod and the other Kryptonians. So he is the only thing to give them hope. And when he defeats them, gives them all hope in this new guy to help out, which leads us to the second movie, which is where it starts to get weird.
Beat Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Batman versus Superman, to me, I think it started out as a Superman movie. Like, I think the original thought was, we're going to do this as a Superman movie. And then it was I felt it was the studio wanted him to push Batman in there because Superman didn't really sell at that point. Man of Steel was getting a lot of shit. And the Nolan stuff had done great. So they were like, push Batman in there. So he went, all right, I like the Dark Knight series. It's got Superman and Batman in it. I can make this sort of work for what I was doing. And
I can agree with that.
He made this in this movie. I can see you were talking about parallels to religious aspects at one point when we were talking about this the other day. This movie
Superman, and Man of Steel is where I noticed them a lot, but
I didn't notice it there really at all. Versus Batman Superman, that's what it is. Like but there's so many plots going on in this movie. It's Superman trying to get people to realize that he's not God. He is just really powerful. Batman wants to kill a Kryptonian. Lex Luthor wants to create Doomsday. We need to bring in the Justice League. So you have 4 plot lines, right? Throughout the entire movie. But the way the way it is laid out is not good. Because we get the worst Batman ever. Like, I like Bruce Wayne. I like Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne. And even in the Snyder Cut,
I'm the opposite.
I liked him as Bruce Wayne even in the Snyder Cut. But when it came to being Batman, Wonder Woman stole his flash drive. Never would have happened. Wonder Woman broke in his car and put it back in the glove box. Never would have happened. Never, ever, 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 ever would that have happened. And that is my biggest
That's
complaint.
a Bruce Wayne mistake.
That is
Bruce Wayne drove that car there. Just saying.
Right.
If it was the Batmobile, she wasn't breaking into the Batmobile.
I'm just saying Batman in those movies was not he wasn't a very good detective because he didn't figure out who Superman was. Like,
that's one of the things that bums me about the Batman stuff is that I feel like they got away from that, like him solving things and the detective work. And now he's just this brooding, scary guy in the shadows. And I always enjoyed, I think some of the better stories are the ones where not only is Batman doing detective work, but you are as well as you read it or even watch it. So I would like more of that.
Right. And even to go as far as that movie was originally supposed to be called Superman Dawn of Justice, or Superman versus Batman. Then it became Batman versus Superman. Then it became Batman, Superman versus Dawn of Justice. So it's how much crap can we can't run into this? And it felt to me, it kind of had that Spider-Man 3 vibe where it was just too much shit going on and too many loose ends. Now the Ultimate Edition added, I think it's like 20 minutes of extra
footage. It actually makes the movie a little better.
Yeah.
Because when I saw the original one, the things that you were like, wait, what? That you kind of were like, felt lost on, they expanded on those in there, which is to me just another flaw in Zack Snyder's storytelling ability, at least as a director. The job is to make a 2.5-hour movie. Well, so you can't just keep filming stuff. You know what I mean? Like, well, eventually you got to make sure the story works.
Right. And I think it's kind of a mix I think that's kind of the idea here. It's the fact that at that point in time, most movies didn't really go past like 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah.
Or even 2 hours, really.
Really, 2.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he pushed the theatrical one to 2.5. The Ultimates one's 3. And it like we said, it just kind of fleshed it out a little bit better. But like, I agree on the point of, if your job is to keep it within this timeline, why Like there is stuff that definitely did not need to be in that or be as long. Like
Yeah, he's building a story that's this big at the start, knowing that it should be this big.
right.
And I feel like you can have all these different thoughts and ideas of where you want to go, but ultimately when the story is ready to go for day one of shooting, the story needs to be down to the size that it's supposed to be. 2 hours, 2.5 hours,
Right. So it's definitely weird in the idea of having to shove all those plot lines and then wrap them all up. And the way it was wrapped up was very awkward. The movie was not paced well. In that it was not structured very well. It kind of it almost like it held it just like it's like being part of a band and you hold the note just a little too long and then everybody else gets screwed up, like because you held that one note too long and then everybody else is trying to adjust to where you're trying to catch back up. That's kind of how I felt watching the movie, because it was
but in this band every single member sucks and is playing the wrong instrument. The casting in these,
I will
series,
say,
but
I thought Wonder Woman was a great addition, and I thought she stole the show at the end. Like I thought she was actually well done.
She exceeded expectations, because I think, a lot of people were like, I don't want to see Ben Affleck as Batman, but more people were upset at her being Wonder Woman when she was first cast, because they're like, she's a stick. She can't be Wonder Woman. She needs to be big and muscular and thick, So I think she did a good job knowing that she was walking into something that was almost impossible. She might be the only one. I hate Jeremy Irons as Alfred. I think it's dumb. Right. It's not that he didn't do all right. It's that if you're going to make Bruce Wayne look the age that he is in this movie, then Alfred should be about 85. Right now, Jeremy Irons looks like he's about 5 to 6 years older than Bruce Wayne. So if you're going to go with that older Batman, then Alfred needs to be even older.
So
that's my thing.
I actually did the math on this. Because there's a scene, a thing that happens. Oh, here comes Bo. All right. There's a part in there where you can actually figure out the timeline of how old Bruce is at that point, and he's approximately 42 to 45. Yep. So that would mean Alfred would potentially be close to 60. I don't know how old Jeremy Irons is. I don't know how old he was in 2014, I think, when that movie came out. 15.
Well, Alfred was if Alfred was the butler when Bruce was little, how old was he when his parents died? Like 7, 8 years old?
Here's the thing, though. Alfred's family has been the Wayne's butlers forever. So his dad was the Wayne's butler before that. So he could have been working there at like 18 at the time. So
okay. Well, I mean, I guess so. The point I'm trying to make is the general public knowledge, without looking into it and going deeper into like the stuff you were saying to point out Batman's age, is that Alfred is old and Batman is not. So if you make Batman even older, then Alfred needs to look that part as older.
I mean, I know dudes who are in their 60s that look like Jeremy Irons did in that movie. So, by the way, Bo, we're in the middle. We're not quite to Justice League yet. We're in the middle of Batman Superman.
Turn the cold water on.
But it's been okay. No, I mean, I enjoy these movies because they're comic book movies, but I don't love them. So that's just how I feel about that.
I think they wasted Doomsday too.
I do too. I feel that all right. My biggest takeaway, especially from the first two movies, watching them, and now watching the Snyder Cut, which we're going to go into in a second. My biggest takeaway from all of it was I really felt like they needed to do the individual movies to make it more impactful. And then the Snyder Cut wouldn't have needed to be so long, because there were chunks of it where I felt like I watched a 40-minute movie about the Flash. I watched like a 40-minute movie about Cyborg. And it was like, The first 2 hours felt very, we're going to do chunks of backstory about all these people that didn't get their movie yet.
They were trying to jump to that end game area instead of just saying, who cares if we're starting our universe 10 years before like Marvel started theirs. Let's just do it and pace ourselves and take our time and flesh these characters out. But they kind of just used it as like, let's just jump right to the finish line. And that's one of the reasons why it didn't work. So
okay, so now we'll go into the Snyder Cut. So again, if anyone listening or watching has not seen it,
this is your
see
chance.
you later. Mark your time. Come back to this later. We will not judge you. No matter how anybody feels about this is a judgment-free zone. Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
That's right.
We all have our own opinions. I will love you no matter what.
It's nerd fandom. We
Say
support
that
each
as-
other.
you say that as soon as I get on here.
Oh no, I said that earlier. But I really mean it now. Well, as I said this to you earlier. I said it'd be boring if everybody brought the same beer to a party. Like that is not, to me, that's not a party. Like if everybody shows up with the same 6-pack of Yingling, I'm gonna be like, wow, this is kind of boring. But if it's like you bring Yingling, you bring Penn Brewing,
Bring Gold Slick.
and Bo brings his Bud Light, and we all kind of go, I'll swap one around. Hey, it's cocktail. It's a good time, right? It's a little more fun. Like, if every single person was identical or the same, it would be very boring of a world. So going into that, so we got we'll do about 20 minutes. I want to do since Tim didn't finish it yet, Bo, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to do overall impressions so far for Tim at least, and then a character by character breakdown, because I have a couple, like I basically have notes because after I watched a Snyder Cut, which by the way I did break in the middle for lunch, so I kind of watched it as two halves, which made it easier for me because my biggest thing for me was it was just too long. Just for me personally, I just can't do more than like 2.5 hours. But I then kind of watched the theatrical cut in fast forward to compare some things. So I will start off by saying my overalls were, I definitely liked it a little better than the Whedon one. But the reason I liked it was also the reason that bothered me the most, because it fleshed out all the characters for the backgrounds that we needed to make it work in general. But for me, the movie just went on too long, just as a personal thing, because I just don't like having like that big
7-hour
chunk. Like even Marvel didn't do 4 hours. They did 5 hours in 2 chunks. They maxed it at 3. And I was okay with that. It was a little bit long, but it moved quickly. But with this, like 4 hours for me was just a little too much. I had to make that break in the middle. So I broke after right before part 5 was. Overall, like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It's
important too to note that it was, if you watch it and you're like, why is it cropped? It's not widescreen. He shot this in IMAX. So it's important for people to know that it was shot in an IMAX format. It's not 4:3 aspect because it's some old movie or anything.
I actually saw you post about that earlier today. I actually did know that back in the day.
I had no clue. Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Very interesting. But I thought I'd just mention that because that was one of the first things that stood out to me. I was like, wait, I don't get a full picture here. So,
all right, Bo, this is your moment. The stage is yours.
You want to know first?
We want to
I want your overalls first.
Let's start. Yeah.
We're doing our overall impressions.
I had anticipated. I got up. I got about 7:30 this morning. I was like, I'm gonna start this, and then all anticipation of probably stopping in the middle. I couldn't stop watching it though. I rank it as the greatest comic book movie I've ever watched before in my life, hands down. It made me feel just good, like they finally done something right. it was an absolutely 100% completely different movie. The only thing that was the same was the characters. But overall, Josh Whedon, I am so glad
Josh. Yeah.
Like that was what Warner Brothers was thinking. Like it makes you think. From when I saw the first one, which I hated, I didn't really have anything good to say about the first Justice, or I don't know. I'm going to call it the first Justice League because it has nothing in common with this one.
I like to go theatrical cut, Snyder cut.
I'm going to go crap cut and great cut. Like it just, what was going on through Warner Brothers' minds whenever they took Snyder off. There had to be other stuff going behind the scenes,
No, there was his daughter had, I think it was his daughter. She had commit suicide. Was one of the other things that was going on when he left.
I think that may be a definitely big factor, but I think they was trying to push things on him that he didn't want to do, as we saw with Batman and Superman.
Or anything Warner Brother does. That's
always pretty much their trademark.
They put their nose into it too much, and they should have left it. They should have left the DC universe dark, gritty. I mean, you could tell how much things had changed. The little quips and stuff like that were gone. A lot of it. The inappropriate stuff was gone out of it, where they had Flash falling on top of Gal Gadot, just little things like that wouldn't have been normal in like the universe. Like, why would you even put that in there just for Josh Whedon to stand out and have it? But it changed the overall aspect. The CGI was on point for me. I was very nervous about how they made Steppenwolf look, and then the way he just like it morphed to his body and did different things. It was just incredible to me. I don't have anything bad to say about it. It made me smile. I can't say I've had a feeling like that since I watched some of Aquaman, like how like just good it made me feel. And I'm like I said, I call Marvel fanboys. I'm a DC fanboy, and that like brought it to life for me. And everything was what it wanted to look like. If I thought Darkseid was going to pop into this world, that's what that dude would look like. Like just imposing. It makes me want to see more. The extra stuff at the end makes me want to see more. Whether or not we'll ever get to see any more of it, I don't know. It's iffy. No one can say, no matter how many people want to tell me today, you're never going to see anything more about this. Warner Brothers has moved into the opposite direction. Well, seeing the ratings of this movie, like I've been tuning in every day looking at the ratings, the critics, the blue check marks, like the Twitter blue check marks that need to shoot themselves. Whatchamacallit, they hated it. The critics hate it. But you look at the audience scores, that's when you know it's a good movie. If the audience scores are like 94, 95, 96, 97, it's just the feedback has been incredible. And it's like a vindication for the DC universe. So I loved it. Best thing I've ever seen, just because it's the characters I want to see.
I have ways to back up my point of view later, but it's mostly due to the characters, and I'll go through that afterwards. But Tim, overall, so far, because you haven't finished it. So,
well, I just want to say too that I think that's what's great, and that's what what Bo was saying. That's what I want. That's why I want DC to succeed, even though I like Marvel. I'm more of a Marvel fan, because then we're getting great stuff all year long, all the time. So it's great that we're this long into comic book movies, and that somebody, while I didn't think that it was the greatest, that somebody can be like, this was the greatest one for me, because people say that to me all the time. They're like, really? Winter Soldier's your favorite, comic book movie? So I think it's great that they made something that DC fans could really be like, finally, this is what we wanted. For me, so far, it was boring. It's like 10 minutes of story in slow motion. And it's like, that part bothers me a lot. Like, this movie could probably be 2.5 hours if not every scene was in slow motion.
There is a lot of slow-mo in this movie.
So I will say that so far what I didn't think that.
Well, yeah, there's almost every single character has a slow-mo scene except for Batman. It's like weird.
10 seconds.
So I was like, I could see it for Flash, but everybody else was like, oh, come on. So
I thought so far that it's better than the Whedon cut for sure, because that's like, I mean, everybody knows that I hate the X-Men movies, and I think the X-Men, I can't even Bryan Singer, just like the worst human being. So when I think of horrible comic movies, I think of those, and the Whedon cut was worse than that. So I think this is redemption, at least as far as for what the movie was supposed to be. But as far as a good movie, I so far I don't see it. So
yeah, but remember, like, I'm all like, here's
Yeah,
another crazy thing that we throw in here. I'm a dude who actually likes the Green Lantern movie as long as you skip over the parts with parallax. So
Yeah.
so I mean, to each their own. Everybody fucking
Yeah,
hates
absolutely.
that movie. So
yeah.
No, that was fine, except Ryan Reynolds and Parallax. You could take them two out of there, it'd be in a great movie.
I thought Ryan did all right, but it was weird. Anyway, let's so I have some characters. I kind of want to I have a pro and con basically for everybody. I just kind of want to run through them with you guys. If you have a pro and con, we'll go through them. So and some of this will explain why I wasn't a super fan of it. So my first character actually is Lois. So while I thought they did a better job fleshing her out in this movie, I thought they fleshed her out too late. I did not feel that she is the kind of personality that would not go back to work and be that that shaken that she would have to sit there and be really like I would never think that Lois Lane would hit that point of depression. So, and I thought that the pregnancy part was a little over the top. I don't think that part actually needed to be in there. But that's pretty much it. But like I said, pros, they fleshed her out much better in this version than the Whedon one. The cons were mostly, I thought she was out of characterly a little too depressed. And I thought that the pregnancy thing was a little too much. So
the depression thing probably works if the character in the films before was built to the way that you're like, oh, I could never see her get there, because then when she gets there you would feel it more. But we don't really have enough of her. I mean, she's very limited in what she's been in so far, so you don't have enough to see that jump. So I can understand what you're saying about the depression part for sure.
Okay, Bo?
She's very strong in the comics. I can kind of see your viewpoint on it, but we don't know how she would actually react to it. It didn't bother me. Making her the key to it all is kind of, we'll see. But she is the key. So
that I'm going to diverge real quick on that. So, because this actually was another overall point that I forgot to mention. So after watching both of them today, I felt that the Whedon one tried to rein it back into this is a Superman story in 3 parts, where I thought this one was not about Superman, but it was about it, like, most of the movie was very sad and very gloomy, which, whatever, but it didn't get to the point of hope for me till way too late in the movie for me. That bothered me. Like, I wanted it to be more signs of hope throughout the movie so that it built up to this really great moment for me. And I thought it kind of drug a little too hard to get there, and then at the end hit. But again, it might just be the pacing of a 4-hour movie for me personally. So, but I just didn't feel that it felt very Superman oriented when the other 2 movies were pretty much that. So,
I think it's good that it wasn't just Superman oriented. It was the whole team. They delved into everybody this time. So it wasn't just focused on Superman.
Which is why I kind of said, I feel like if they would have broken it, if there would have been another Superman movie, either before Batman Superman, or they would have resurrected him in another movie before this movie, I would have probably felt better about it. But it felt to me like they were trying to do this trilogy, and it was like, hey, we're doing this movie, then we're doing this movie that's kind of Superman, and then we're going to just go and do this totally different thing in the third one. In both versions, I kind of felt like that. Like, it didn't really fit into what they were doing. But I also have the mindset of, I've seen now a solo Wonder Woman and a solo Aquaman in between. So it changes that dynamic a little. All right, Cyborg pros and cons. I thought he was really, really dry in the Snyder Cut. Like, I thought he was like really dry. The theatrical cut, I thought they tried to make him a little bit more, but he was still just dry. I just don't think I like the way they wrote him. I like the way they wrote him on Doom Patrol. I liked that one. And the theatrical cut had a booyah. The Snyder Cut did not. So, thoughts on Cyborg?
I'm going to say, when have you ever read Cyborg? I thought they portrayed him exactly like the comic books. I did not like him in the first Justice League, and the character grew on me in this second one. I love the little bit of backstory they said. I don't need an origin story for every single character. That's the one thing I hate about Marvel. I don't want to hear a 2.5 hour damn origin story. I know the origin. Maybe that's just me if somebody's coming in where they don't know the origin, but I like to think that I know what's going on with him. I've never found Victor to be an interesting character by any means, but he showed leadership like they have him going on even in the current Justice League, and he stood out to me as becoming more of a leader and like stepping up, like to be like the Trinity isn't the leader, that it's actually Victor's the leader. So, but he's always been dry to me. So I thought they portrayed him how they should have.
I thought he felt too, I guess it's not really dry. It's more like he felt more computer than he did human. Because I always felt like when Marv Wolfman did it, I understand this. I know that sounds stupid. I thought Wolfman wrote him well in the Teen Titans stuff back in the day. And everything through where he is now. But I never thought he was like that dry and real. Like he was like super sad and depressed to the point where there's a scene where I'm pretty sure he leaves it's the scene where he's done talking to Wonder Woman, and when she turns around, there's actually a billboard about like it's like a suicide hotline billboard.
Yeah.
So their whole thing is that they've lost people and it's about mourning, and I'm like, man, this is a real downer. So
I was indifferent on him. Like I didn't hate, nothing that happened made me hate him, but there wasn't really anything that made me go, oh yeah, I wish they would have put more of him in the first cut. Like now I kind of watched it and was like, all right, it's not my character for me. So
yeah, I definitely thought they made him make more sense in this cut. And he was more integral in this cut, which was good. But
that's the great part about
I just could not get in. He was just bringing me down so much that I'm like, oh, I want to enjoy this so much.
Well, that's what I keep saying about DC movies. DC movies that's the way Snyder writes them. They're darker, more depressing. I always say they're more adult than the kiddie Marvel stuff. I know I've said that numerous times.
But I'm not talking about like that he needs to be like Teen
I don't
Titans
want him
Go. I need him to be like, I just need him to like have a little more of a personality. Like he really was very, very.
If everybody's dark and gritty, then everybody's the same in the movie, and then the movie's just boring. If you have a little bit of variety, that's what makes it great. Yeah, you can do that without making it too lighthearted and Marvel-like. And I think that probably would have served them better if they would have took that approach. I mean, look at Flash. Flash is kind of like upbeat, goofy, and
he's my next person.
Let's talk about him, shall we?
Okay. So
because I don't like that. First of all, who likes Ezra Miller? Does anybody like Ezra Miller? Because I'm like, why is he even in movies?
He's fucking terrible. He's the worst part of this movie.
So there was very little difference between, in my opinion, how he was played in this movie or the theatrical cut.
It was pretty much.
I thought he felt way more Wally Bart than he did Barry, which drives me nuts because I love Barry, and I don't feel that he felt very Barry at all. I felt he mostly felt like Impulse Bart to me.
I agree with that.
And I thought the scene looked cool with the time like the time reversal, but I thought they pigeonholed him into, hey, the Flash is here. Guess what? He's going to reverse time. So now it sets off the Flashpoint movies, and now it fixes all the crap that people hated about Wonder Woman. So it's just like, I just want them to do something with the Flash that doesn't involve time travel or Flashpoint, because he has so many more things. And why he didn't vibrate through that glass instead of shatter it blows my mind.
Yeah.
So, and the suit still sucks. I don't care.
Why would anybody think that just because you're the fastest man alive, that you're going to put on 50 pounds of metal and run around in that?
Right.
It drives. And then the whole, like, I'm throwing my hand up every time I run. Stupid. So stupid. Probably as dumb as me with this Afghan on.
It is kind of. But I was interested. I was very impressed, I should say, to find out that where he trips was actually in the Snyder Cut and not a Whedon reshoot. I was like, because I was expecting that, because it was kind of a funny moment for that to be a Whedon reshoot moment, but it was not. So, but yeah. Bo, anything else on Flash?
No, but tell me, what other stories do you know that stick out in your mind besides like Flashpoint and different time travel and stuff like that? That's what Flash is known for.
Well, he does. I think
you got to put him out there.
So much more stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, I would have saved the time travel for Flashpoint. That's my point.
Maybe in the future we shall. But
but now we're just gonna get time travel. We're not gonna get like wind tunnel arms. We're not gonna get
everybody's
phasing
about time
through
travel.
Shit. Like, I thought it would have been cooler if he would have phased through a lot more shit. Like, that would have been cool.
Well, he's still, if we're looking at it this way, he's still very young. He is not Barry Allen. He is a Bart. I mean, and he doesn't share any commonality between Barry Allen and the comic books. This guy he made up his own character. He's too young. The only thing that I despise about this movie is him. And I don't know if it's actually him, but it's just, he doesn't fit. He's not Barry Allen, and they need to make him go away or just get somebody older, get somebody old and dry, because that's what Barry Allen is.
Well, maybe he can start the Flashpoint, and that will end his Flash, and we'll get the right Flash, even the right Flash lightning color, instead of having
Flash,
blue. Like,
I'm gonna run like a Flash to go pee. This is like the middle of the movie for me.
All right.
I'll be right back to talk about Wonder Woman in it, but you guys can talk about your feelings about it.
Well, we'll talk about Wonder Woman. You want to go ahead? Okay, so
go ahead.
Mine. I'm sorry, mine was really short. I thought Wonder Woman. She's a terrible actress to me. The part where she was monologue or like narrating the story about Darkseid and like the original story with the heroes, like, that was ruining it for me. I wanted to just turn the volume down and just watch the cool like CG, because she was reading it like that 15-year-old kid in high school that gets picked on to read out loud in front of the class. I think I sum up her entire character in this movie in the scene when they were in the museum or wherever they were with that bomb that went off. She protects those kids with her gauntlets, and it was badass. And she fights those guys in like 5 seconds. But then when it comes down to the last guy left, she clashes her bracelets and blows up that whole side of that floor out onto the street where everybody's at, which was the whole point of throwing the bomb away. And I'm like, you couldn't have just run up to the guy and punched him? And that sums up her whole character for me in this movie. It was like close, but just not there. So
I do not like, I've never got into obviously Wonder Woman in DC Comics. I mean, I read her when I'm reading Justice League and stuff like that. I love Gal Gadot. I think she plays the part perfectly. She is Wonder Woman to me. Even the older lady and whatnot, but I can't remember her name for the life of me right now. But she does. She's great. She continues to be great. I didn't have any problem with her. I really enjoyed Gal Gadot, like I always do. She's perfect for the role. She looks like Wonder Woman, and she plays the part awesome. I don't know. I don't have anything wrong with her. She's she's the damn fixture of DC. That's the one thing they really, really did right. So
cool. Well, I'm back. My opinions were, I thought in this movie she took on the leader role, which I liked. Other than that, I had no issues. Like it was I had a pro with no con. Boom.
yeah, she was just as good as she was in any other movie. Like she didn't really stand out to me, but she's just good.
Now, however, the way they pieced the movie together, where they pieced her like emergency flare thing, that felt real weird because it was like they did all the scene there, they shot the arrow, it lit up, and then like 20 minutes later you see the newscast. It wasn't like, it felt weird that it didn't just continue on in that story. It was, that part was, that felt weird in the cutting of it, in the editing, but that's just me. All right, Batman. So I felt in this cut he probably felt the most Batman we've seen.
Yes.
I still liked his Bruce Wayne, and he was way less of a joke. Like his mortality wasn't the problem in this movie. Like in the theatrical cut, it was more everybody has powers except Batman. So they really showed, like, some of the reshoots were a little more showing his actual mortality. Like there's a scene where he's like taking off the bat suit and you see all the bruises and shit, and he's like got a dislocated arm. In this, you really didn't do that. You just kind of took him as face value Batman, which kind of helped move the story along. And we've already seen his background in Batman Superman. So that's where I was with that. Bo?
I think they made him talk less, and he back to more being Batman. He didn't seem like he was, I don't know. He seemed better. I don't know how much they changed. He changed his like actual monologue with people and whatnot, but he just seemed better. I'm still not sold on. I would have rather seen Christian Bale, just have them use Christian Bale instead of Ben Affleck. That's just a personal preference, but I thought he was fine. He didn't do anything. He didn't stand out to me. The whole gun thing still gets me, even though, I mean, he was firing on them parademons like there was no goddamn tomorrow. Like,
but they're not human. They're not human. Who cares?
That doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me. But he is a damn marksman. But it is like what I tell people when, it is a comic book movie, so you have to take it for what it is. Take it for a grain of salt. It's not like real life. Like things might not go exactly how you expect. So you got to
people have to remember that for the first, like, I don't know, 20 issues where Batman was in, he actually did carry a gun.
Yeah, but
just saying,
it's just times have changed. I mean,
I know.
I can count on one hand about the number of people that I know have read the first few issues of Batman, which is hardly none.
But also they were trying to push him like the Dark Knight Batman, and that Batman also carried a gun. So
that was a terrible idea because I hated that Frank Miller story. So
I thought the first volume was good. Everything else after that was a little weird. Tim, thoughts on Batman?
From what I saw so far, he didn't bother me. The only thing that was like what we talked about earlier, where I told you I just wished if they were going to do Bruce Wayne that looked that much older, I wish Alfred was a little bit older. But I mean, the stuff with him, I remember watching Aquaman pick him up, and I'm like, wait, what's going on? Like, Bruce Wayne would be prepared. He would know this language. And then he said it, and I'm like, oh, okay, they got it. They got it. So I liked him better as Bruce Wayne in this than I have in the other stuff.
Yeah, that scene actually Batman didn't change Superman. At all.
Yeah,
like,
but just him all together as Bruce Wayne, I thought so far was better representation of Bruce Wayne in this one. I don't know. You tell me, do they still have that scene on the rooftops with the parademon when he jumps around the corner? They took that out.
Nope, they took it out.
Badass.
That was the one scene that after when I watched the theatrical one that I was like, man, I kind of wish they would have kept that scene because that was a pretty badass scene. But we got a little more, like, the fight scenes got longer in general in this.
Okay.
So we got to see him fight more in general. So that kind of made up for it.
Cool. That's cool. I'm excited for the second half then. So
all right, Aquaman. Honestly, I didn't think that there was really much change to him, to be honest.
Still awkward, bro.
Yeah,
he's still.
I mean, he's still kind of the Peter David style Aquaman.
I mean, it was like an hour in, and I think it was like at the 52-minute mark, he had already taken his shirt off twice.
Yep.
To jump into the ocean.
I will say though that because Aquaman adjacent, Mara got fleshed out a whole lot in this movie than she was in the other one. Like there was,
which
a
sucks
whole
because she's
lot
not going to
more.
be in. She's
No,
not gonna
that was
be,
a rumor.
I mean,
That was a rumor. That she is still on there.
So I think they said
She
they
did
were
not get
keeping
fired.
Mara, but they were keeping Mara, but not her as Mara. I thought.
No. That came out as
this isn't Disney.
Yeah.
She's okay right now.
That got debunked. She did not get fired yet. Although I wish they would throw out her wig and just have her do the dyed red hair that they did in this.
She looks good. It looks better when she's wet.
Yeah.
I know
that sounds awful
kinda,
though.
but it does. Whenever her hair was dry, like in the Aquaman.
Hey, this ain't Disney. We can say that.
True.
Well, it wasn't the wig. It was her actual hair in this one. That was just dyed.
It looked good. It was fine. Like
But I thought it was good like that.
But
other than that,
off of Aquaman, I just want to mention those creepy Icelandic children of the corn that were doing that sea chant, and it was like, the sea chant was way too long. They were doing the sea chant, and then all of a sudden, like right at the end of the sea chant, they're like, "Okay, girls, 1, 2, 3 harmonies. You ready to go?" And go. And then they started hitting like harmonies and high notes, and I'm like, wait, what the hell's going on?
I thought that was actually pretty cool, to be honest.
So they were creepy. So since we were talking about Aquaman, I just wanted to bring them up. So
all right. So now I'm gonna go to Superman, and my notes are that I felt that this movie felt more about a story about power and less about Superman tie-in from the other two. It took away the trilogy vibe, which I've already mentioned. It made it but I think he was still written well for both versions. I thought it was cool to see the black suit, but I wish he would have went back to the red and blue at the end. And that's pretty much,
especially
when he opens his shirt, it's the black and white. It's the black and silver.
Yeah,
and that's the last thing you see him in.
Keep going. He was in blue and red like a lot later.
That was literally the last thing you see him. He pulls the shirt open and flies into the sky.
I was talking about the epilogue.
That is in the epilogue. That's at the end of the epilogue.
He goes back when he comes on the highway bridge. He's back and he's blue and red. Yes,
I will have to watch it. I did not see that part.
I don't have thoughts yet about him because I have not watched enough.
he didn't get to the Superman part yet.
Yeah.
So. I also am kind of indifferent on how they bring him back to life in this versus there. It's a little more techy. There you are.
Yep, you're there.
Yep.
The power's about to crash here.
It's a little more techy in this one than the other one. But I thought that there's a slight scene of reversing time a little bit that sets up the Flash for the end. So I thought that was, while I was kind of sad that they used that right away, like as his big thing, I thought it was cool that they teased that for that, because it took are they going to do that out of the equation for me? I was like, okay, that's what they're going to do with them later. I was like, but it kind of added to that scene a little bit. I don't necessarily know if it was 100% necessary, but I thought it was all right. I thought the idea of him just being the electrical generator was awesome. They kind of did that in the other one, but they talked about it in more tech spec style this time, and I kind of liked it the way it was described better in this one. So anyway,
so is it you talking about Superman still?
I was talking about the Superman resurrection scene, like that was a big difference. So when they go into there's they kind of redid like the how they got in scene, because in this one, in the Snyder Cut, the building's full of people, and in the other one, they just get in there and then it's empty, like it was in Batman Superman. So, you know, but they also added a whole lot more Victor Stone plot point that needed to be in there. But when the mother box lands, this fixes my problem with Batman from the other version, where I thought Batman never would have let that box go, just sit there on an empty car in a parking lot, and go over to the Superman memorial with everybody else. Instead, Victor Stone's dad grabs it, and obviously Batman knows that he has that, and that's why they're going there. So it fixed that problem with Batman for me, because that was like my biggest Batman problem. As someone who's not a huge Batman fan, that was my biggest Bat problem with the theatrical cut. So, all right. Let's talk about Steppenwolf. So they definitely changed his whole demeanor between the two. They changed his outfit. I thought that in the theatrical cut, he was a little more confident because he was the bad guy. And in this one, it felt more like I have to impress Daddy Darkseid so that I can be in his good graces. Now,
it should
be. I was gonna say, for non-comic people, that feels weird. For comic people that understand how Apocalypse and the New Gods work, that's actually pretty spot on, because they all worship him as like a father figure. But I really hated the new outfit. I didn't really like the other one as much, but I like it a little bit better because it at least looks more like a suit instead of just like crazy spikes. But I understand. But they also changed a lot of the other tech. Like the mother boxes look different, and if you look at and even Cyborg is different. In this cut, he is a lot more spiky, like he's more cubey looking to him. Yeah, and I think the more I thought about it, the more I was like, it does work for that style of look, but I just personally don't like it. So
because it like moved with his body, it was intuitive. Like whenever I loved it whenever he was getting in the beginning, when he was getting shot with all them arrows by the Amazons. He just like cool. Flexes and
he just flexes.
I was like, it didn't look good to me at first, but it's just the way it portrayed. And then they made his face and everything look so much better. Like he's a D character, and they made him into, you know, something a lot better, at least to
he's
me.
like a C+ now.
I
like the way Desaad looked, though.
Yes. I don't know who that was beside them, though. That's the only thing I haven't figured out yet.
Granny Goodness was over on the right.
You think so? It didn't look
it was 100% Granny Goodness. She had the hair and she had the staff. The staff's what gave it away.
Though.
The staff
should have picked somebody shorter, chunkier, and older. Like I thought maybe she might have been Barda, but it was like it ain't Barda because they ain't got the helmet. Because she was like a tall chick. Yeah. So
that was definitely Granny Good. The staff. Anyway, Tim, thoughts on Steppenwolf and Desaad and possibly Granny Goodness?
I thought he was cooler in this version. I agree. I thought his face, the CG was pretty good on his face. The CG was pretty good on the suit too. I just didn't like the suit because it was distracting. The first time you see it, it's like, oh, that's really cool. And like when he did the flex, that was pretty badass. But as it goes on, it's just like you kind of just start, like your eye just starts going towards it because you want to see what's flexing, what's moving. And so that's either the armor's fault or the story's fault for not keeping me interested. But I thought that he was better in this version, and probably I don't know if it would get better for that character. Like Bo was saying, it's a D-list character anyway. So what they built him into in this movie,
is, right?
You know,
the only thing I hated was that, like in the comics, his head is not a giant Y. His head is a regular head, and he just has the big helmet like that, like they did it in the theatrical cut. The helmet and the spikes were my two biggest problems with that, and there was no color to it.
What does he look? Even if it had like damn Robin Hood when he first came out. Like when he came out, he almost looked like Robin Hood standing there in most scenes when he was. I mean, I thought they made him look more apocalyptican. Is that a word? Like he kind of he fit in with everybody. Like he didn't look. He was imposing. And I don't know. I thought he looked cool. The facial expressions they had with him was just like crazy to me. Like,
yeah, they definitely put a little more into his face, and I think that may have been a go back and retouch.
Yeah,
because the CG definitely got better, but it's still not good. There are definitely scenes where I'm like, oh man, that's still really bad. All right.
See, I didn't find any problems with that CGI. So that was like on point.
So we'll talk about Darkseid. So while I'm
gonna go out in the other room.
Okay.
I don't want to hear a Darkseid part.
Do you want me to text you when we're ready? I'll shoot you a text when we're ready. Oh man, you have me on speaker.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'll shoot you a text when we're ready to have you come back.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So I don't want to.
Right. I know. All right. So my thoughts on him were, I felt that he was a little underused. There are definitely scenes where, and then I'm gonna need to watch this again, but I don't think his CGI was consistent, because he goes from like having broad shoulders to having no shoulders to having broad shoulders to having no shoulders. But I don't know if it's helmet, not helmet scenes to make that differentiate happen. But I thought that they, like I said, I thought they kind of underused it. I thought that it would have been, had they built up these other movies beforehand, and then this been how that culminated with where it was just focusing on the Steppenwolf part where they fight him, and then he's the one that brings on Darkseid, and then they definitely set it up for a Darkseid movie after this, like another Justice League movie. They fight actual Darkseid, which was cool. I did like the scene where he shot the nega beams out of his eyes. That was cool because they went all straights.
That was hot.
I was like, I bet Bo is like
I did. Boing! I was like, oh,
oh,
just the way they had his like eyes smoking and everything, just like my tattoo. It was so cool looking. I'm obsessed with that character.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, I think my only cons of him were that I don't think he was used enough to keep the plot moving to focus on that he's the big bad and not Steppenwolf. Or they either underused him or they just should have full on used him, is my thing. Like they treaded a little too lightly with him, or they should have went way harder.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, there was some consistency with some CGI that I think. So
all right. So the 2 points, but you talk about the CGI. I noticed what you're talking about, but I chalk it up to, I thought he looked good in like the past scene. He looked different in the past scene, like the War of the God type of scene.
Yeah, he had these big broad shoulders.
See, I thought he looked skinnier then. Like he was more thinner. He didn't have as much armor on. He didn't have the shoulder.
He didn't have any armor on.
He didn't have that gauntlet thing. Yeah, he didn't have none of that on. And then whenever you see him later, he's got the full getup going on.
Give me a second. All right, there's one of them. Hold on, I definitely found. Nope, that's not what I want. I found some screenshots, and I was like, I really want to talk about that. And if this comes up, we're going to talk about it. All right, so let me go to screen share. Tim, don't look. Okay. So here he is with full armor, right?
Yeah.
So he's got he looks thin, right? Like his shoulders don't look as broad.
That's the future. Yeah.
Right. Now it also might be these little pieces that like go from like the neck to the shoulder that are making that happen.
Doesn't Desaad look like the shit though? He looks so cool.
he looked, I think of the three of them, he looked the best. And then here's the flashback scene. But he also has those things there. So you see what I mean? Like he looks so much beefier. It's like, after 5,000 years, he just kind of slimmed down a little bit. Like
I don't know. I think he looks the same, man. I think you got this in your head. He looks the same. He actually in the past though, it's like weird to me. They like made his out, like his art, like his jaw piece and everything. They made it a little bit bluer. It's harder to see in this.
Yeah.
Like, so they made him stand out like a little bit bluer, and in the future it was a little bit darker. Right. So, but no, what was the other point you made? We talked about the CGI. What was whether I thought they used him the right amount. Like he was just he was just the figure in the back type of deal. I liked it. I wanted to see him step through the portal there at the end and just beat the shit out of everybody and maybe kill them all, and then I'd be fine if the movie just ended forever.
Right.
But it's I hope that they do something. Like I said, no one knows. Me and you and anybody else tells, we're not Warner Brother executives or whomever. We don't know what's going to happen. I hope they do something. It is a potential. That movie could be just the shit. So
I definitely feel that they set this one up for a better sequel than they did the other one, which brings me to my next point, which we're going to talk about real quick before Tim gets back on, because he doesn't know that these people are in there and what their roles are. So I felt that they way underused Martian Manhunter, James Gordon, Deathstroke, and Joker. Underused.
Oh, no.
I felt there's no way that here's my Martian Manhunter problem. He goes to Lois and says, hey, I need you to go back to work, because he knows what's coming. And then he's like, I'm not going to fight in this. I'll let you guys do it, and then I'll join your team afterwards. That is bullshit. That is my biggest problem with that character. Other than that, I mean, they brought in Gordon for the first time. They should have brought him in the last movie to make it feel better, in my opinion. Yeah. Deathstroke, they show him meet with Lex, and then all of a sudden they use him in the nightmare scene, and that's it.
Yeah.
It would have been cooler to have a Batman movie that would have been him versus Deathstroke. Could have set up all that other crap.
I mean, they may, but who knows now? We don't know. Yeah.
How much is this movie?
Huh?
How much is Lex in this movie?
The same amount that he was in the other one.
Okay. Yeah.
It's actually the exact same scene as what it was in the theatrical cut.
Had Lex Luthor. I don't get the direction they were going with his Lex Luthor at all. It's like
they added one thing that he says in this one that he didn't say in the other one, and it talks about how that Arkham basically like kind of straightened him out or got his shit together for him, which makes it go, we've now corrected the weird off the wallness of him from Batman Superman.
Because I think he can play a good Lex Luthor. He can play a smart role. I just don't like the way that they had him play in this. It was like watching somebody try to do a Joker imitation or something.
It's going to be hard for him to re-justify that role if he does it. He's really going to have to really nail it on the next time. But
he's bad. I want Kevin Spacey back.
As bad as that sounds too.
I know.
I mean, he was my favorite Lex Luthor. I thought he played the best evildoer I could find.
They got to tone that kid down. He's just too fucking kooky. He still was a little bit too kooky in this. Like even a little bit he was in, it was like, oh, it's so unappealing to me. So
now, my reason for the Joker part though is I think because of all the cuts that happened in Suicide Squad that he got cut a lot of scenes out of that.
Yeah.
I felt that had those scenes been in place still, this scene would have been way more impactful for him. Did I like it? Yeah, because I thought he was fine in Suicide Squad. Yeah. But you know what it reminded me of though? It reminded me of the Last Night on Earth book by Scott Snyder. Like, really, that whole scene, I'm like, holy shit, this is Last Night on Earth. Like,
the monologue was fantastic. I loved that. I love that they removed all his garbage tattoos. The long hair didn't bother me. I love that they removed all that. And just the way that the screen was playing out kind of fuzzy at different times and those two were talking, that was so cool. If we could get a movie where it's like Bruce and Batman are teamed up with Deathstroke and Mira and Cyborg, that'd be awesome. Like, but who knows if, I don't know if that's just a nightmare or if that's, Lois is the key. So if something does happen to Lois.
I think that was the scene to tie into the other scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised though if that scene ended up in Flashpoint somehow, or
It
like
could,
this is one of the realities that we may get in Flashpoint.
Well, and then Joker said, but Batman said it first there. He said, whenever they said Lois was the key, and Batman's like, I don't think it was to this, though, meaning further down the road. And then Joker actually made the thing like, how many multiverses are you going to fuck up?
Yeah.
So, and then I think that's why they made everything like, I think that end monologue was why they made that movie an R rating. Like just that end monologue between them two was awesome. So I think that's why they made it an R rating.
It also was weird because it really shifted. Again, it shifted it more to a Batman movie, like a Batman-led movie than a Superman-led movie. And it just kind of felt like, again, it felt out of place for me because I felt like Batman versus Superman, they really pushed, we're going to turn this into a Batman movie featuring Superman instead of a Superman sequel featuring Batman, introducing him. All right, my last thing that I have, and this is very much so a personal thing because I'm a musician by heart, but the score to this movie was on point.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought so
it was on point. And especially when you compare it when you compare it to the theatrical cut, like the theatrical cut has a lot of actual songs back. It's like there's like a White Stripe song and there's some other stuff. Good. And then Danny Elfman does all of his themes in there. And they even do like a little bit of John Williams' theme, which worked in certain scenes, but other scenes it definitely took away from the vibe of the movie. And I thought that the Hans Zimmer score, which he said originally he was not going to score this movie at all, and someone else scored the whole thing, which is even crazier to think about that he went back and did that. But I thought that he really nailed the score of this movie, and it fit tone for tone, shot by shot.
That's the thing that I didn't expect him to do. Like I didn't, and it stood out to me so much that how good the score was and everything fit. So I think Tim can come back for this, can he not? I don't think we're giving away any.
Tim, are you still listening or are you not listening?
Yeah, I'm sitting right here.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I couldn't remember because I was like, I forgot to text you and you don't have your earbuds in, so I didn't know.
Can you hear me though?
What?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're just quiet, so I think that's why we thought you were.
Well, I was some of this stuff I hadn't, seen yet, so I didn't have anything to add to it. Right. So,
what do you think of the score though so far?
I liked it. I thought it was good. I did think it fit a lot better. The weird tribal chants, like every time they would show like a slow-mo of like
it's Wonder Woman. No, I'm 100%. It's 100% the Wonder Woman scenes. And I will say the weird chanting before the cellos kick in and the drums kick in, like that weird chanting part is the only part that I don't like. Yeah, but it's very quick, so I don't really care.
Yeah, those were the only parts that really bothered me. But you take those out, like the score, I think they did a really good job with it so far from what I've watched. So
yeah, like I may actually listen to the score on my way to Butler tomorrow because I thought the score was very well done. I've also liked his scores for the other two movies.
Oh, he's Hans Zimmer's the shit.
And I think he did. I was gonna say he did Wonder Woman too, the first Wonder Woman. I don't think he did Aquaman though. But he's done some good stuff. So, but all in all, like I said, I gave it like a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. But a lot of it for me was the length. Bose was an 11 out of 10. We understand.
Hey, I'm just going. I'm looking at Rotten Tomatoes now, and it's still at 97%. Like
right. See, I'm not in the 3%. I'm somewhere in between.
You're borderline. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. In all fairness, I thought this was gonna suck. I was building myself up for it, and I literally sat here and I was like a giddy little fucking girl, just so happy with everything as I saw it unfold. So,
but maybe
I expected less.
Right. But I also like after watching the theatrical one or kind of fast forwarding through it, I totally understand why they cut the parts they did out to make what story they could into a 2 to 2.5 hour movie. Like if they had to cut that down, that's pretty much what you were going to get anyway.
So would you guys, I know you guys have both said about the running time. Would you guys watch any long movies? Like, did you guys like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that? Like
actually parts of this movie reminded me of Lord of the Rings.
Because I like Lord of the Rings, and I like the only ones I like is the extended versions where they're like 17 hours long.
Holy
Like
fuck.
I love. No, I mean I'm exaggerating, but
No, you're not. You're not. They're like 16 hours. Like
movie.
you basically wake up, start the movie, and by the time you go to bed, you're ending the movie. And it's
like
all walking.
It just feels like you're like engulfed in it for such a long period of time. If it's something you really like, you don't want to leave that. And it just felt like he was in it forever. So I can't believe I didn't stop. I thought for sure I would. So, but nope.
I mostly stopped to pee, and then at one point I was just hungry, so I had to eat.
That's why it didn't bother me that it was 4 hours. Because if I was in the theater, I would be upset because I'm not one of those ones that likes to get up and go to the bathroom. So I'm just like, I'm gonna hold it the whole time. I swear, and I'll watch.
There's an intermission in the. If you see it in the theater, there's a 15-minute intermission in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
are they putting it to theater?
Yeah, it's in the theater right now.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
I knew I could just get up and pause it and go. So it doesn't bother me when they're that long when I'm watching it from home.
But I do like the Lord of the Rings movies. I like the theatrical cuts. I've only ever watched one of them in the super extended cut.
There's nothing different. It's just more scenes.
If my options were see that, because most of the regular cuts are like 2.5 to 3 hours.
Oh, they're
they're not more than 3. Maybe 3 and 15. But if it's more than that, like I'm probably not going to go see it in the theater. I'll wait till I can do it at home where I can use the restroom as much as I want and pause it and get food and not have to pay $8 for a hot dog.
They could never have movies at theaters again. I'd be happy. I enjoyed watching this. So I watched it on my iPad this morning. It's so great watching new releases on my iPad. The good
I
thing
watched it on my TV this morning. Watched it on my big screen this morning, and after watching Dropkick Murphys live last night, it was really good. So, but yeah, I mean, I do like movies that are longer, but 3 hours is kind of my, like, even Endgame to me was a little too long. Like I can think of probably 20 minutes that can be cut out of that movie and it'd be fine. But 3 hours is kind of my limit. And I don't know if it's just that, back in 2017 when this movie originally came out, they were like, no, you like people don't want to see anything over 2 hours. So that was just the best way they could cut it.
Even
and I
podcasts.
think, oh yeah, because we're running it. I said it was going to go long. This is the Snyder cut of the podcast tonight, buddy. Like,
it is fitting.
It's the angle cut. What do you want? So, but no, that's pretty much it. Other than that, guys, like I said, overall, I thought it was good. Like I enjoyed it. I'll probably watch it again. Like I definitely didn't hate it. So, but I'm also glad I didn't pay to sit in a theater for 4 hours though. That's my big thing about it. I paid for HBO though. But any other final words before we talk about a couple guests we have coming up? And then,
I got a question.
Sure.
Which can you guys tell me which books you reviewed? Since I was getting raped by the IRS and H&R Block.
I did Black Knight. I did Black Knight #1, Iron Fist 3, and Iron Man 7.
Didn't read that. Tim, what'd you do? I didn't read any of that.
League.
What'd you do?
Justice League.
What'd you think? Good, bad?
I liked the first part. I didn't like the Justice League Dark story, but the Justice League story was good.
Yeah.
I wish it was longer.
DC needs to stop this combining shit. I'm over that already. Like I need to stop that.
We don't want to put 2 different books out. Maybe we can just I don't like it either.
And jack the price up. Good job.
Yeah.
Draw that line at $7.99.
I did Superman Red and Blue.
I didn't read that.
And it was boring.
I figured that's why I didn't buy it.
I did Ultra Mega.
What'd you think of that?
I thought it was really fun.
It was, it was different.
It was weird. It was really weird.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I like it. Just made me think of Daniel Warren Johnson's art and like how zany like Murder Falcon was. I'm like, this is kind of on that same level of like no explanation, just awesome and cool, just because.
I was just curious. I read my stuff today after movie, and I was curious what you guys had done or reviewed. But go ahead, John. What do you who we got coming?
So we got Doug Wagner. In the beginning of April, who has done The Ride with Adam Hughes. He did a couple other things that were pretty good too. We have potentially Dinesh and Adam from Bad Idea coming on. I'm gonna try to talk him into getting Matt Kent for us because that'd be kind of cool too. Matt's a super fun dude. And I got Richard Pace from Second Coming. He did a lot of stuff back in the 90s as well. But I'm trying to pair him up so that he's on the week that the last book of Second Coming, Only Begotten Son, comes out. So it's like a cool reason for him to be there. But I think that'll be cool. And then we have Ash coming back at some point, right, Tim? And who was the other one?
And then Declan Shelby, I think that's how you say his last name.
Yeah.
He did that Bog Bodies, and then he did that Moon Knight run with where he was in the suit, a good bit of that. He just did Immortal Hulk Flatline. So him as well.
Yeah. A lot of cool guys coming up. We'll get that schedule out for you guys soon.
The Declan Shelby is next week for sure on the 26th. So
actually, you cut out, I think, for a second. So just so you guys know, that's going to be on. You're gonna get a bonus week next week. You get the regular Thursday night comics talk one, and then you're gonna get this extra one on Friday.
Oh, that's right, Friday. Yeah, that's right, Friday.
So, Bo, just so you know, next week, if you're not doing anything on Friday, we're gonna have that as well. So we're gonna have 2 episodes next week. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Make sure you guys tune in. So sorry we ran long. It was like we said, it was the Snyder cut of the show. And we thank you for sticking through. If you guys stuck out or cut out, and we hope you come back and check out the rest. We hope you enjoyed the movie. Hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you listen to us on Spotify. And don't forget, we're still trying to do those benchmarks so that I can give you away some free comics. I have like $70 or $80 worth of comics so far just sitting in my house.
And we're close on the likes. I think we're like 210 or something. So let's push it. If we can get 250, that would be great.
Yep. And then all we need is what do we say, 10 or 15 watching at one time?
Something like that.
Yeah. So
10 seems more reasonable.
Let's do 10. If we can get 10 watching one night, 10 people. That's all we're asking. 10 people.
We got it. Tell your friends.
It'll be fun. So, all right. Thanks a lot, guys, and we will catch you next week.